everyone, this is Liz at CSN Chicago News. 2 Chicago police officers were shot in the city's Back of the Yards neighborhood Tuesday night, police said. Chicago Police Superintendent Eddie Johnson said 2 plainclothes officers working in a tactical unit in the 9th District were working in a tactical unit in a follow-up investigation to a separate incident when 2 vehicles pulled up alongside them and began firing indiscriminately at about 9:10 p.m. The officers returned fire. Johnson clarified that the officers were not caught in crossfire, but were fired at, but that it is still an early stage of the investigation, and the exact motive for the shooting is unclear. An extensive manhunt is underway for the individuals responsible for the shooting. Johnson said police have recovered multiple weapons that may have been involved in the shooting, as well as a vehicle that may have been involved in the shooting. The investigation is ongoing. Number 2 Senate Democrat Dick Durbin is recovering in Illinois after an outpatient procedure for irregular heartbeat. Durbin was recently diagnosed with atrial flutter, a common non-life-threatening condition in which the heart beats less efficiently, but one in which symptoms are often non-noticeable. The Illinois Democrats had a procedure at Northwestern Memorial Hospital in Chicago in which a catheter was used to ablate tissue in his heart to try to disrupt the nerve impulses that cause the abnormal rhythm. Durbin used his treatment to make the case for medical research, citing the procedure, which is increasingly common and considered relatively low risk. He will remain in Illinois for the remainder of the week. An apparent email phishing scam spread around the country Wednesday afternoon, inciting people to click on what looked like a wallet Google link that instead exposing their personal information, and some Illinois school districts are warning parents of the suspicious emails. Batavia Public Schools posted on Facebook that officials had blocked the emails from its inbox, but said the attack was continuing nationwide. The post warns, if you or your child receive any emails that appear to be from a known or unknown contact containing a link to Google Doc, please delete those emails and most importantly, do not open the attached Google Doc. The emails have also reportedly come from Chicago Public School District emails, as well as Burlington School District 220 and the LaGrange School District 202, among others. Both suburban school districts post warnings on Facebook to parents. CPS offered guidance to employees if they click the tainted link and encouraged staff to change their passwords. Google did not immediately return a request for comment, but it did address the issue on Twitter. Year after opening an innovation center in the Merchandise Mart, Allstate Corporation is planning a big expansion of the office. The Northbrook-based insurer has signed a lease to more than double its space in the sprawling River North building. Allstate has leased 57,000 square feet of new space in the mart, increasing its total to 102,000 square feet. It is unclear how many workers Allstate is expected to have in the expanded space, and whether the company needs the room for new hires or job relocations from the suburbs. The expanded space would be large enough to accommodate hundreds of additional employees. An Allstate spokeswoman did not immediately confirm plans to expand the office. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
专业的团队，丰厚的经验。
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to the Lake Cook Law Group.
投资理财、法律咨询，芝加哥专业律师团队为您的梦想提供最安全的保障。
Chinese President Xi Jinping and his Philippine counterpart Rodrigo Duterte held a telephone conversation Wednesday to discuss bilateral ties and regional cooperation.
Xi said The two countries are deepening political mutual trust and carrying out cooperation in various fields. He noted that a channel of dialogue and consultation on the South China Sea issue has also been set up. The president welcomed Duterte to attend the upcoming Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation to be held on May 14th to 15th in Beijing. Duterte said he was happy to see Philippine-China friendship and solidarity enhanced and their exchanges and cooperation in various areas restored and pushed forward. He added he looks forward to attending the upcoming forum in Beijing.
Chinese and Indonesian officials have vowed to improve cooperation in anti-drug trafficking campaigns. The meeting is a follow-up to the Memorandum of Understanding on Anti-Drug Cooperation signed by the two countries in 2012. Both sides discussed issues such as intelligence information exchange, law enforcement cooperation, and cracking down on drug trafficking.
We agree to have joint training or capacity building, and the most important is we exchange intelligence information. The information is very useful for both parties. Cooperation between China and Indonesia is very essential to prevent the trafficking of illegal drugs into the respective countries.
Nearly 9,000 people are battling a raging fire in North China's Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. China Report has the details. A local fire officer said nearly 5,000 firefighters are now engaged in battling the fire. As of noon Wednesday, it had affected around 10,000 hectares of forest. 4 temporary helicopter landing spots have been set up for artificial precipitation. Armored vehicles have also been mobilized. The fire broke out at 12:15 p.m. Tuesday at the Beidahe Forest in the Greater Hingnan Mountains. Initial investigations found the fire was caused by illegal dumping of burning residue by a local furnace worker. He has been detained for further investigation. China's large commercial banks have been called on to set up inclusive finance departments before the end of 2017. They are to support small companies, agriculture, poverty relief, and entrepreneurship. The State Council, China's cabinet, said large banks are to be the backbone for the development of inclusive finance. The council said lending to small and micro enterprises should rise no slower than the growth of all loans. The number of small and micro borrowers in a year should also not be lower than in the previous year. Banks were also called on to accept a higher non-performing loan ratio for lending to small and micro enterprises, agriculture, and poverty alleviation. The government will offer monetary incentives to financial institutions meeting the requirements for inclusive finance businesses. It will also help commercial banks to improve service networks. Jack Ma, CEO of China's e-commerce giant Alibaba, said e-commerce has experienced a recent boom. He also said e-commerce should be made more inclusive with more focus on small and medium-sized enterprises. China Report has the story.
We already got more than 1.6 million registered users using Alibaba services from Argentina. A lot of Argentina small business already buy through Alibaba or sell through Alibaba. But we think in the future, we want to help the Argentina small business sell directly to Chinese consumers. That is still very difficult. Logistics is number 1, and internet connection is number 2. So I'm thinking about tax. Oh yeah.
He made the speech to a select audience in Buenos Aires at the invitation of the Argentine Science and Technology Ministry.
When I see so many entrepreneurs, small business through our site, they bought their cars, they bought their houses, they realized their dreams. I feel so excited. So my dream is that I hope those people who are using internet, not necessarily Alibaba, if you're using Amazon, eBay, or whatever internet, if they're using internet to realize their dreams, and this is my dream.
During his 3-day trip to Argentina, Jack Ma also met with the President Mauricio Macri at the presidential residence in Buenos Aires. Chinese scientists have built the world's first quantum computing machine that goes beyond the early classical or conventional computers. It has paved the way to the ultimate realization of quantum computing beating classical computers.
The scientists announced their achievement at a press conference on Wednesday. Many scientists believe quantum computing could in some ways dwarf the processing power of today's supercomputers. The manipulation of multi-particle entanglement is the core of quantum computing technology and has been the focus of international competition in quantum computing research.
Recently, we completed the first accomplishment showcase of our quantum computing machine. We use it to do a special calculation, and we call it as a boson sampling. We have already exceeded the first electron tube-based computing machine and can also exceed the first transistor-based computing machine in humans' history. Therefore, from this perspective, it could be considered as a milestone.
Water and rock coexist in even tiny spaces, symbolizing the arteries and bones of a Chinese house. Pui Yan says that despite their cultural differences, both Chinese and Westerners share the idea of retreating to nature.
One of the things that we always try to get people to understand is to be in touch with their senses, to be in touch with nature that's around them, because as a scholar, this is what the purpose of the Chinese Scholars Garden was. It was to escape from your daily stress, whether it be from work or, just life in general. So when people come here, they're allowed to have that opportunity as well, which is something that I find is very key, particularly in this day and age where everything is so fast-paced and moving. You get to step back, enjoy, relax, and be at peace here.
An exhibition on Chinese paintings and traditional tea ceremonies opened in Istanbul's Aydin University on Wednesday.
Chen Su, the acting Chinese consul general, said at a ceremony that the traditional paintings and tea were essential parts of Chinese culture. The event was hosted by the Chinese Chamber of Commerce in Turkey. It aims to give Turkish artists an insight into Chinese tea culture and paintings and offer a chance to talk with Chinese artists. Chen said the exhibition reflected the Silk Road spirit of cooperation, openness, and mutual learning and benefit. On display were dozens of Chinese paintings in traditional style, including portraits, landscapes, flowers, birds, cats, and miniatures. Roundtable discussions on Chinese and Turkish arts and a seminar on the Chinese tea ceremony are to take place later this week.
Located several blocks away from the Red Square, the Perlov Tea House has been standing out from the Moscow skyline for over 100 years. We went to find out the story behind this exotic Chinese corner in Russia.
Little tower in form of pagoda, facade with molded dragons, birds, and lanterns. The Chinese tea house attracts most of the eyeballs with its non-typical elements for Russian architecture in downtown Moscow. It is called the Perlov Tea House, built by a descendant of Russia's most successful tea merchant family, Sergei Perlov. At beginning, it was a typical regular tea house, but the arrival of a distinguished Chinese guest to Russia changed the house forever. The Chinese guest was Li Hongjiang, a high-profile Chinese politician, general, and diplomat of the late Qing dynasty.
In 1896, the Chinese ambassador, whose name was Li Hongjiang, he was invited to Russia to take part in the coronation of the Russian Tsar Nicholas II. He was invited, and of course, Sergei Perlov, the owner of this place, and the tea businessman, was hoping to get a profitable, lucrative tea contract from China through this visiting ambassador. And he decided, maybe if I'll add a Chinese flavor to my house, maybe the Chinese ambassador would get touched and would stay at my place with his family. Well, and he asked another famous architect, his name was Gipius, to actually fix the facade in a Chinese style and interior design too.
The tea shop was decorated by traditional colors, red with gold and blue, as well as images of dragons, birds, bamboo, blossom cherries. Some materials were even brought directly from China. The building gained a lot of attention and became possibly the first successful example of retail signage.
This building is really unique place for several reasons, I would say. First of all, because it's the only, well, first of all, it's architectural landmark of our city. Secondly, this is the only Chinese style building in Moscow. Yes, so you can't find another one Chinese style building in Moscow. And there is another reason why it is so unique. It is one of a few establishments that didn't change its purpose since it was actually created. It was a tea and coffee store since the 19th century till nowadays. So tea and coffee has always been sold here at this place.
After the October Revolution, the tea house was nationalized, before being renovated and finally returned to the Perlov family in 1997. Today, the shop houses a vast collection of tea from India, Ceylon, China, and Kenya, with coffee beans from Italy, Brazil, Costa Rica, and Kenya.
Older people, they come to not only to buy some tea or coffee or pastries, they come for memories. And they like to talk about those times when their parents would take them to the store, and everything is preserved, everything is the same. That's what they are saying, and actually I think that is good.
This is a historical shop, very famous, which gives the customers exactly what they need, and that's the most important thing. The quality of goods is very good in this store, with wide selection.
Tea drinking has been part of the Russian culture since 1600s, when Chinese traders made a trade 17,000-kilometer journey through mountains and rivers along the ancient Silk Road. Russia inked the first tea contract with China in 1679. And since then, Chinese dried grass, as it was once known, has gone from strength to strength.
Proposed by China in 2013, the Belt and Road Initiative is now facilitating better trade between China and European nations. Among those benefiting from the initiative is the Netherlands' biggest dairy company, Royal Friesland Campina. It can now reach their Chinese customers through rail transportation. Let's take a look. More than 15,000 cans of the Dutch company's infant formula, Friso, are being loaded into this 45-foot-high cube container. They will first travel by truck to Herne in Germany, where they will then be loaded onto the China-Europe Rail Express, eventually arriving in southwest China's Chongqing municipality. To make this happen, Mischa and his colleagues from Royal Friesland Campina have been working on the project for nearly 2 years. Mischa said the train freight has many advantages compared with other means of transportation.
I think the advantage compared to air freight is that the costs are way lower. It's roughly 10 times cheaper than making use of air freight. So that's a lot of money, which also our farmers are benefiting from. And if you compare it to ocean freight, you see that the transit time is like roughly half of the transit time of an ocean container. So that means roughly a saving of almost 20 days, which is, of course, it enables us to reach our Chinese customers faster.
This first trial shipping will reach China in about 2 weeks, traveling through many countries en route. If the rail transportation proves successful, the company could decide to use China-Europe Rail Express in the future.
So this test trial we will evaluate, and if this was really successful, then we'll continue, because this for us is a very interesting way of transporting our products to China. This container is very well able to transport a lot of other goods that Friesland Campina wants to sell. And dependent on the demands in the market, we could also use this same transport also for other product types. So yes, that would really be an interesting option.
The logistic team said food safety and transportation speed are the two key factors for successful shipping. Vermeer said their dairy products can enter the Chinese market in 27 days by rail, of which 20 days are needed for the journey and 7 days for custom clearance. This time frame meets the company's requirements. Friesland Campina is the biggest dairy cooperation in the Netherlands, and China is one of their key markets since their entrance in 1994. The company's 2016 annual report showed it earned a revenue of about 560 million euros in the Chinese market, with an increase of 27% year-on-year. China now has express freight services to over 25 European cities. Since March 2011, more than 3,500 trips have been made, and the figure should rise to 5,000 by 2020. The Belt and Road Initiative, comprising the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, was first proposed by China in 2013. It is a grand trade and infrastructure plan to connect Asia with Europe and Africa along the routes of ancient Silk Roads. To see how the scheme is affecting people at a local level, CNC talked to a number of people around the world and asked them how the Belt and Road had changed their lives.
My name is James Koyej. I am 31 years old. I am working in Nairobi New South Station as safety officer. For the last 2 years, I have been working to work 1 hour every day, but I never feel tired. My work is to make sure that there is safety during construction of the new railway line that link our capital city of Nairobi to our harbor city of Mombasa. I have learned a lot of skills from my work, and now I can say I am an expert in safety aspects. I live alone in Nairobi in a rental house, but my wife and my baby live in my village at a small house I built after getting this job. We are not expecting only the new railway to make transportation easier, but we are expecting many other changes in our country, and we are expecting the new generation to benefit from it. I am proud to be part of this construction. When the railway is complete, I will take my family to Mombasa to see the ocean and beach, because they have never been there before, and I am sure they will be happy.
My name is Nining Bahuni. I work as sales in Vivo Communication Company. Before this job, I worked in retail industry but gained insufficient income. However, I have earned more after working in Vivo Communication. My income also suffices my daily needs. I can also help with my parents. For the future, I will work harder and strive to ascend the career ladder. Thank you, Vivo.
By the name of Almighty Allah, my name is Najibullah Ali. I am Manager Assistant in China Railway Group Corporation Afghanistan branch. Now I am walking on the way to the working site, China Aid project of National Technical Communication Institute of Afghanistan. We Afghan people suffered several decades of war in our country. Our country and our people need a huge demand of the workers and technicians for reconstruction and development of our country. Several years ago I was jobless and I was seeking for a job for several years. Fortunately, 2005, 12 years ago, I joined China Railway Group Corporation. From that time till now, my lifestyle, character and working knowledge changed a lot. And I find the only way to have a better life is working hard and honestly. This institute aided by the People's Republic of China. And after the completion of this project, this institute will graduate a lot of students, the professional students, that they can build by themselves our country and develop our country. God bless us all.
我是李宁，
My name is Li Ning. I'm on my way to teach at the Dar El Tarbia Middle School. I've been working there for almost 2 years now. Dar El Tarbia is one of the collaborative schools with the Confucius School from China, and I'm the first Chinese teacher sent there. I used to teach a martial. Now here, not only that, I also teach Chinese and calligraphy. At first, the kids here know little things about China except Jackie Chan, but now they learn to talk and communicate in Chinese, as well as some Chinese culture. They showed great interest in China. They would often tell me how good they are each time when they talk to Chinese visitors on the street. I'm proud of them and hope they would have outstanding achievements in the future with Chinese they've learned.
I
am Chen Jietao. Now on my way to my boutique of Georgian wine. I opened this shop after quitting a 12-year job at a local TV station. I'm promoting Georgian wine because I fell in love with this country at the first sight when I traveled there. Its wine and tourist resources are wonderful. I would love to share with others the things I love. So I decided to start my new career in Georgia. Instead of simply selling wine, what I'm really doing is actually promoting the tourism of Georgia. Now, very few Chinese people know about this country, so I want to tell people my story with Georgia. I think it's a huge satisfaction to share with people the things you truly love. I'm living in Guangzhou City in South China, a sister city of Georgian capital Tbilisi. And since the Belt and Road Initiative was proposed, Georgia has opened its arms even wider to the Chinese people and Chinese market. I think I have all the favorable conditions on my side, and I'm totally confident with my new career with Georgia. The Belt and Road Initiative sounds huge, but it's also practical in my case, as it makes us known to other cultures, just like the Asian Silk Road.
The Belt and Road Initiative is expected to include more than 60% of the world's population and more than 1/3 of the global economic outlook. A leading U.S. expert said it is beneficial for the United States to support the initiative.
Well, I think it would be beneficial for the Trump administration and the United States to say that the United States is supportive of the One Belt, One Road initiative, would like to support it in whichever way it can, and would like to be involved in it to the extent that that's beneficial.
Calling himself a big supporter of the initiative, Swain said the United States government has been in recent years taking a kind of wait-and-see attitude.